Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to today's show. It is Russ and Jane, and we are here with a really important show for you today because today we are going to be talking about a phenomenon that we call the spiral of shame. So today I'm here with Jane Jewell, who's our managing director here at Clients on Demand, one of the most brilliant mindset and performance coaches on the planet. So Jane, tell us what this means. What is this spiral of shame that we're talking about, and why does it matter?
Hmm. I think the spiral of shame is looking at what you think you should be doing or what you have or what you don't have, and you start making yourself wrong for it.
Exactly. So, guys, one of the things that we found at COD is we've continued to work with different clients, and like I've got friends that are obviously in different entrepreneurial businesses and starting different things, and really what we found is this: when your business is working, the positive effects start to spiral out into every area of your life. But when your business isn't working, the negative effects tend to spiral out into every area of your life. So we just, it's funny. I was just talking to one of our clients in Hawaii that said that once she got her business dialed in, all of a sudden her marriage was like 10 times better. And we hear this all the time where people are like, oh yeah, you saved our marriage. And when we first started getting that kind of feedback, we're like, what the hell are you talking about? Like we talk about, we teach marketing, we teach Facebook ads. Like, how did Facebook ads save your marriage? But what was going that actually we should use that as a headline, how Facebook ads can save your marriage. But what was happening was people were coming through the program and their business wasn't working, and it was causing an insane amount of stress in their life, in their family's life, where there was doubt. Maybe their husband or their wife was saying, hey, when are you going to get a real job? Or when are you going to give up on this dream? When are you going to go back to work? When are you going to forget about this whole idea of starting an online business? And when are you going to do something real? And that was causing a tremendous amount of stress in their life and in their relationship. And it was just tearing things apart. But then once they worked with COD and they got some of those things dialed in, all of a sudden the problems it was causing in their marriage or in their relationships went away too. And so when we first heard about that, I mean, we were stoked. That was awesome. But it's not our intention. It's not something we're trying to do. But we began to realize that it's about so much more than just getting your business and your money dialed in. That when you have that business working, it has a ripple effect that extends out through your entire life. So if you're in a place right now where your business isn't working or where it's not performing the way that you want it to, and you're noticing, okay, my relationships all of a sudden are having problems, and my health maybe is starting to deteriorate, and I'm stressed all the time and all this other stuff, we just want you to understand that this, first of all, is something that's totally normal. It's something that everybody goes through, but it's also something that's optional. You don't have to settle for this, and you don't have to just blindly accept this. So there's no reason for you to be walking around in shame or in guilt or in anxiety about what's going on with your business, because it is something that's fixable. And when you do fix it, all of a sudden, all these other structures in your life are going to improve at the same time.
Yeah. And unfortunately, when you start to make yourself wrong and you get in that spiral of, that shame, it should be different. I should be getting better results. Um, I should not be upset that I'm not getting better results, right? Like that shame starts spiraling, and what happens is invariably is action also stops.
Mm,
And so it's like this double edge where it's like I feel bad that I'm not getting the results that I want to have. I'm making myself wrong. I don't want people to know that I'm not getting these kind of results or that my business isn't successful. And now because of that, you start getting stopped and not taking action. And then it just even, it just kind of feeds itself, and you're on this like train to nowhere because now you're completely stuck.
right.
So, the big caveat of that is people often say, I'm afraid of failure. I have a fear of failure. And the truth is you don't really have a fear of failure. What we typically have is a fear about what will people think if we fail,
Right.
right? Because if we fail and no one's watching, it's not that bad. Like you're trying to do something, you're trying to accomplish something. And if nobody knows about it and it's not this big public spectacle, it's like you just pick yourself up and you try it again. But in a public forum where you're trying to grow your business in a way that can be more public and you're on display, it gets even more scarier. And so much like, when you're building an online business, it's pretty public, right? Like you're sending out emails, you're jumping on a Facebook Live, you're putting up, a webinar of you talking, right? We start to say, our business is us.
Mm-hmm.
This type of business, our business is me. I am the business. Where if you're selling widgets, it's even a little bit removed, right? Like you are not a widget, it's the business. It's the widget that fails. It's
right.
the widget that's not enough. It's the widget that needs redesign. But when it's us that's doing a strategy that works, or I am not appealing to others, or my service nobody's buying, that's where we get into this thing that I'm not good enough, and that's where that spiral starts to happen.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's so funny because we tend to think that, in my experience, people care about what you're doing a lot less than you think. Like when I was first starting out, I was like, oh man, when I had all the same fears you're talking about. Well, what if I try this online business, and what if I try to build this thing and it fails? What are they going to say? And then the flip side was there too. Like, oh man, when I finally have all of this success, I'll show them and everyone will be so excited and so happy for me. But what I found was, honestly, nobody really gave a shit either way. Like people are so wrapped up in their own life that like we don't really have much time to worry about what other people are doing. Even the people that are closest to us, when I first started having this kind of success, my dad was really, really happy for me, but it was just like, cool, Russ, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like it wasn't this whole, like epic thing where like the clouds part and, there's angels blowing trumpets and it's like, oh my God, I've arrived. It just doesn't work that way. So a lot of this stuff where it's like a fear of failure, it really is just like, we think that there's all these people that are just watching what we're doing with bated breath and they can't wait to see what happens with Russ and they can't wait to see what happens with Jane and blah, blah, blah. But it just doesn't work that way. It's like, think about how much time do you spend worrying about other people's success? I'm not talking about your clients or like your kids, but like your buddy. Like, it's like, your friend is starting a business. Cool, man. Hey, but best of luck, but I got to go worry about my own shit. So a big part of that is that just really when I realized that, nobody really cares whether I succeed or fail. It just is about me and my family and the people that are closest to me, where they're going to be directly impacted by that. That really actually gave me a lot of extra courage because I just realized like, oh man, you know what? Hey, if I give it a shot and it doesn't work out, then at least I took a shot. And right. Most people never even take a shot. They never quit their job. They never start a business. They never, take the plunge and do their first webinar. They never invest money on Facebook ads or, they never, rent a location and whatever they need to do to build that business. They'll never take those big steps. They never make those big moves. So when you realize that most people never even take a shot, and that when you do take a shot, nobody really cares whether you make it or not. I actually got a lot of courage when I realized that.
Yeah, I love that. And let's just say a couple of people did care. Like what they think is none of your business.
Right.
Like I love that saying, like what someone else is thinking or judging or believing or seeing, it's like really none of your business.
No.
You're in the business of like making your own life work. You should be in the business of being happy and joyful and striving and being bold and creating what you want to create in the world. You're not in the business of like putting your mind over there and thinking, are they judging me? And what are they thinking of me? And, because the truth of the matter is you're making it all up.
Well, so is everyone else. So here's a question for you. Yeah, here's a question for you, Mindset Ninja. What percentage of our opinions about other people are actually grounded in reality versus us just projecting on them? I mean, I would say
I've never actually done a scientific study on this.
No, I know, but I mean, in your opinion. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's like when I look at the things that people say about other people online and the stuff that people, even in real life, so much of it is just projecting, like I don't know, you're a woman and you meet a new guy and you introduce him to your mother and your mother's immediately like, well, I don't know, he might be this kind of person or whatever, because those are the kinds of relationships that she's had. And she's just projecting, her feelings about it onto you. So it's like, first of all, nobody really cares. And then second of all, the people that do have strong opinions, most of the time, those opinions are not going to be rooted in anything you're doing. They're just someone seeing what you're doing and just projecting onto them. Well, like, oh, well, who does she think she is that she can go out and take a shot? Or who does she think she is that she can build a business?
It's always that. Like, how you see the world is always going to be filtered through your own filters, right? And your own filters is made up of your past experiences, your references, the decisions that you've made, the beliefs that you've collected, the evidence for those beliefs that you've collected. So it's like you're not actually seeing reality. It's like you're seeing it through this and this belief and this mishap and this thing that happened when you were 4 years old. And, like that's how you're seeing the world. It's never like with this like perfect, clear set of lenses. It's through all of your past experiences. And that's why it's called your view of the world. It's how you see something.
I've actually been thinking about this a lot lately because, in our business, Jane, we've managed to sort of fly under the radar quite a bit in terms of like, we've got this really financially successful business, but like, we don't have like 2 million YouTube subscribers and we don't have, like this, what I would consider to be like a massive, massive, massive following the way that some other people do. And so I've been just watching like Twitter lately has just become a cesspool. I mean, it really is just gross over there where people are just, all people are trying to do is basically insult and one up each other like all day long. And
like
at least
a bunch of middle schoolers.
Yeah, it's just like, that's what I'm, but literally like a bunch of preschoolers. That's what I'm seeing. And so it just got me thinking, like, these people that are square in the public eye, whether you're a big athlete or a big recording artist or a movie star or a celebrity or some kind of big influencer where you have this massive following, it's like you really have to disconnect and detach yourself from what other people think about you just to function and get through the day. And then I saw this book the other day by this guy. I think his name was Ed Lattimore, and he wrote this book called, I don't want to screw the title up, but it was something like "Not Giving an F What Other People Think Is a Superpower." Okay. And I was like, God damn, that's so true. That's so true, because the moment you start doing something on a big enough scale, everyone is going to throw their 2 cents in. Nobody really cares what happens or what doesn't. And 99% of what they think about you is just people projecting on you. So you really have to put yourself in this sort of like Zen place where you're like, look, I'm just going to do my thing and I'm going to make my contribution to the world. And I don't really care what anybody thinks. But that is easier said than done.
It is. But you know what? I think it gets easier. Adrian and I were actually just having this conversation because, we've shared that we both have recently just moved and we're like setting up our life in a new city. And, we've brought our kids and everything's brand new and we're having to do things over again. Like we need to make friends.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a whole new thing, right? And we work from home and, when you're younger or your kids are younger and you move to a new place, like, your friends become like, your neighbor, the kid down the street that also has a 2-year-old, and you get your kids together and like those kind of become your friends. Well, we're both noticing that in making new friends, it's like this whole new things come up. Like, there's a lot more work that goes into, let's just say, even being on the sidelines of a soccer game. Back home where I lived in Massachusetts, I'd get to my son's soccer game, I'd saddle up, and there would be multiple moms and dads that I could sit there and talk with, and it was like easy. Where now it's like you get to a soccer game and it's like you don't know anyone, you're turning and you're introducing and you're hi and you're smiling, and it's like you're like,
you have to really make an effort
and friendliness and like, are they going to like me? And are they like me? Are they different from me? Are they, like there's all of these like things that are happening. And so it's talking, I hope Adrian's not going to mind me saying this, but I was talking to Adrian, and
no, we can talk smack about Adrian because she's not on this show today.
Well, she's in Chicago. So
yeah. So we can, so we're good.
Yeah. So, she's like, went to this thing with other parents, and she's like, and I'm just wondering, like, I just don't think they like me. Like, why don't they like me? Kind of thing. And I said to her, I said, I don't know what it is, but not saying I don't ever get into those situations. And it is definitely more difficult being here in terms of like making friends, like generating that energy, like that's definitely something that takes a little bit of outcome orientation of like, getting a result. But I said to her, I said, you know what? I don't know if it's because I'm 45 and I'm old now or getting old. I'm like, but I just most of the time now have come to this place where it doesn't matter.
No.
And I almost think though, part of the reason it doesn't matter is that wisdom, is that being older, but also just being really rooted and confident in just who I am. Like I can walk across the room and hold my head high because I know that like who I am is someone who makes an impact on people's lives every single day.
Right.
And if I'm rooted in like, I know who I am, I know who I'm about, I know my value, I know the value I bring to other people's lives, and I know that like I impact people, like I care about people. Like, what do I care if the neighbor next door says, oh my gosh, she gained 10 pounds? Like, does that really matter?
Right.
And so I think that's where, that we always talk about conditioning and knowing your worth and knowing your value, but being able to stand in that knowing of who you are kind of lets that, are they going to like me? Just kind of like, you're always going to want to like create relationship because we're human beings. You always want to create connection because we're human beings and that's what we're about. But worrying about if they don't can really start to disappear.
Yeah, there's this great line in Lost in Translation, that movie, with Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson, and it's kind of just like a throwaway line. Like he kind of just says it. But when I was watching that movie, he said it, and it just kind of was like, wow, that's huge. He says, the more you know who you are and what you want, the less you let things upset you. Mm-hmm. And I was like, bingo, like that's just so true. Because the more that we are making a difference and we can look back and see that, where maybe when we were first starting out, we had these doubts, like, is this going to work? Is this business going to go anywhere? Are we going to, can we even help people? Can we get people results? And now, we've been doing this for years. We can look back across this huge body of work and all these people that we have helped. And so we get stronger and stronger and stronger in that.
I love that you said that.
But when people are in the beginning where they don't have the evidence yet, and they're just starting out, and it's like, what the hell do I do? Because what if this whole thing blows up in my face? Or even like, let's just take it a step further. I am trying, I got past the fear. I took a shot. I'm doing it. I'm swimming. I'm paddling the boat. The boat's got a hole in it. The boat is sinking. How do they move past the shame in those moments when they don't have all this evidence of success yet that they can look at?
Okay. So I'm going to address maybe the first part of it first. So, sure. And this is so active. So yesterday, as you know, I did the clients on demand Q&A call. And so I had a bunch of people because you kept sending them over to talk to me on our
So yesterday on the Q&A call, I decided to mess with Jane a little bit. So people would ask me questions and then I would answer their question. And then I would say, but guys, you know what? I think you could use a little bit of mindset support around this. So you should jump into Jane's room really quick. And so I sent quite a few people into Jane's room.
I basically had the entire client load in my room. No, but it was really super fun. And every time I jump on those calls, because I'm not on a lot of those Q&A calls, I realized in talking to them, or I'm remembering and being more present to that every single one of them, it was an issue around not knowing, right? Like being uncertain, like not knowing if it's going to work, not knowing if they're a value, not knowing, like, I've done this 3 times before, I've gotten results for, 10, 20 people, but I've never done it in a group level, or I've never, worked with this many people at one time, or a lot of I nevers and not knowing. And this is where like we started the conversation, shame can come in. Like, I don't know. And I don't know, and I'm going to be shameful if I can't do it. I'm going to be, sad if, I go to work with someone and I get stuck, or I don't know, or I'm going to be sad if I put this email out to my friends because they're on my email list and they read it and they think, X, Y, and Z, right? There's like so much of that not knowing. And a big part of the conversation yesterday was about embrace the not knowing.
Right.
Like, let it be okay. Like, not knowing is exactly where you should be. When you're building a business, you're not going to know. When you make a new decision, you're not going to know. When you decide to jump off a cliff, you're not going to know. Like, you don't know what's on the other side. You don't know. What you can do is pat yourself on the back and acknowledge yourself that you're in the game. You've stepped up. You're here. I am here, and I am ready to grow. And in growing, sometimes we all want growing. I love when you draw that little bridge that you do. Like, we want it to go like this. Like, we want our growth to go straight up. And it just doesn't.
No.
Because when someone looks at it, it looks like that way, but they don't know all the different little challenges that you've had along the way. But you actually grow in the challenge more than you grow in the win.
That's absolutely true. Like, if I look back on all of these big roadblocks that have been dropped in our way as we built this business, every single one of them was like a huge trigger to massively up-level our game in some way. And I'd love to say that we're self-aware enough that we would have figured those things out anyway, but I know that's not true. We wouldn't have. Like, if that roadblock hadn't showed up, we probably never would have made this discovery or that discovery or made this improvement or that improvement. That's why we tell our clients all the time, and we actually have to remind ourselves of this too, that there really are no challenges. There are no obstacles. There's only opportunities. And so what we've gotten really good at is that when we have a roadblock or a problem show up in the business, we take a quick look at it, just spend enough time on it to sort of figure out, well, what it is and what the hell is going on. Because you have to spend a little bit of time identifying what isn't working and why. But as soon as you know that, it's like, boom, you switch your energy right to finding the opportunity, right to finding the solution. Okay, great. So we know this isn't working. I'm not going to spend any more time thinking about it. What's the opportunity? How can we improve? How can we get better? And the one thing I will say for us as a team is that we make that jump much faster now than we used to. Where before, when we had a problem, we probably like sulk for like 2 or 3 days, and then we would get resourceful.
Speak for yourself. It's your model. You're right. Projecting.
Now we get mad for like, I don't know, 20 minutes, and then we're getting resourceful, and we're moving on to something else. So that's a huge distinction, Jane. Is that those challenges, and that's just part of it. That's what you're going to be dealing with all the time, and it never stops, guys. When you're like right now, let's just say you're starting out in your business and you're looking around and you're going, man, if I could just get to 5K a month, or I could get to 10K a month, or, I'm stuck at 20K and I want to get to 50K, wherever you're at, you're just trading one set of problems for a different set of problems. You never reach this magical Shangri-La when there are no problems. There's this old, like, Buddhist saying where a guy was like, look, I want to get rid of all my problems, and I want to join a monastery, and then I want to go live with the monks and just meditate, and then I won't have any problems. And then he goes and he does that, and then he runs into his friend again, and the guy's like, so you joined the monastery, did all your problems go away? And he's like, no, now I got monastery problems. Yeah. Now it's like my problem is I got to sit in a cave all day. So it's like the choices you make in life, guys, you're never going to reach this magical Shangri-La where the problems don't exist. It's just you're trading sort of awful problems like, how do I pay my gas bill, for higher level problems like, what do I invest in? How do I get my clients results? How can I make a bigger contribution? But you're just trading one set of problems for another, and that's okay. Those problems are always going to be there because that's what helps you grow. That's what makes things interesting.
It's like, you don't know what you don't know. So
right.
If you don't have a challenge in front of you, you don't know to invent something to move through it. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, you have to have the challenge to generate solutions. You have to have a challenge to innovate. Right?
Yeah, like, our challenges have been worth millions to us, literally. Where something we never, ever would have thought of in a million years, if this particular challenge hadn't happened, it comes up. Yes, it sucked, and we did suffer But eventually, when we got resourceful, we thought of stuff that we never would have thought of otherwise. And that those new ideas have produced millions of dollars in extra revenue and all kinds of other benefits for us and for our clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that's exactly what I was working with on our clients yesterday, is looking at, you know what? You are supposed to feel uncertain, and let that uncertainty be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let it be okay. And in that moment, giving them some resources so that in that moment, they can get themselves in a more emotional, resourceful state.
That's
Because
right.
you can feel uncertain and still click into resourcefulness. You
Yep.
can feel uncertain and not know and still stand up and make something happen and go forth and be focused and still have a little part of you that's just not quite certain. But it's like in the moment that it's time to push send on that email, record that webinar, hit play on your Facebook Live, like you have to have that uh, emotional muscle to get yourself in a more resourceful state and do it anyway. Do
Yep.
it in the face of not knowing. And what's so super cool about that is every time you put yourself out there, you let it be okay that you don't know, and you go forth and you do it anyway. And on the other side of it, it's like you grew. You got a little
Right.
bigger. You expanded. It now becomes a part of your identity. And it's like you get to put that little muscle, that little piece of growth, that little bit of oomph and boldness and courage, and you get to put it in your pocket and you take it forth for the next time you have to do that again. And you get bigger and you get bigger and you expand and you can make a bigger difference. And it's like this awesome snowball of like just this growth and opportunity of stepping in to who you were born and meant to be. And that's how you can start taking that little spiral of shame and flip it upside down and have it be a spiral of like, stepping into your power. And there is something unbelievable about owning more and more of who you are and what you can survive and what you can solve and what you can move through. And there's nothing that can replace that. And as you do that, life gets easier. And it doesn't get easier because your problems go away. It's because you have a reference and the muscle to show that you can move through them. So
That's
the
right.
suffering around problems gets smaller and smaller.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, is that that's a really great point, Janie, because I'm saying, yes, there's always going to be problems, but you do level up. You do level up. You get stronger, you get smarter, you get more resourceful, where the problems that would have killed you 3 or 4 years ago, now it's like, it's just another day at the office. I mean, and what happens is that you fight and you fight and you fight and you get to a new level, and then it becomes the new normal. And now you can set your sights on what the next level is, and we understand we're going to have problems and challenges to get to that level, but that's cool. We're going to fight through them and we're going to get to where we need to go. But that's how you get stronger. That's where you grow. So it's very important also that you give yourself a little grace as you're going through this process. Is we've had so many clients that are like, well, Russ is at $1 million a month or $1.5 million a month or whatever. I'm not there yet. Why am I not there yet? I've been running my business for 6 months, and it's like, bro, look, it took me 4 years to get to like 100K a month consistently, and then it took me another 4 years to get to $1 million a month consistently. And look, we're getting our clients there a lot faster. Where we're getting clients, we've had clients that have gone to 100K a month in like a few weeks. Sometimes it takes 6 months, sometimes it takes a year, whatever. But the point is like, you've got to give yourself the patience and the time to understand that what you're building is something wonderful and what you're building is something worthwhile, and it's gonna take time to get there, and you have to be okay with that, and you have to give yourself a little bit of grace as you go through that process.
Yeah, I love love that. It's I don't know if it's because of the world that we live in, where like yesterday I went to go buy my dog a dog bed, and I live in Nashville now, and it was delivered same day from like Amazon. Same
Right.
day. So it's like in the world of like same day delivery, it's like we think that it's like we decide something, we want something, and it happens now. Like you have a little bit of movement, or you start to have some success, and it's like, yes, I want to get from like 0 to 20,000 tomorrow. And it's not that you can't do that, but I love what you're saying is that it takes a couple of things. Number one, it takes the way that you see and perceive yourself, others, and the world. Like how you perceive challenges, how you perceive your business, how you perceive yourself, how you perceive things is number one going to make the biggest difference in your ability to grow. And then number two is that strategy, having the right strategy to take you to where you want to go. But I love the other part that you said is that it doesn't happen overnight. You know, when I was 20 years old, Tony Robbins actually said to me one time, and it was a very good coaching he gave to me. He said, Jane, you know what your problem is? He was pretty intense about it. He's like, you know what your problem is? He says, your problem is you want everything now. And what you're forgetting is that you have to sow your seeds to reap the rewards. And you, my dear, have not sowed your seeds. And it was freaking hard to hear. I was like, damn, wow, that really sucks. But then I sat with it and I listened, and he was right. I hadn't sown my seeds yet.
Right.
And you have to sow your seeds in your mind. You have to sow your seeds in your action. You have to be in action. It's funny that we're having this conversation. So yesterday I sent all three of my nieces who are going through some stuff, all in their, teens to mid-20s. And I sent them this quote. It said, remember, the day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. Be patient, be humble, keep moving forward, and know that all this hard work you're putting in and day out will produce the results you're looking for. Your time is coming. Do not give up.
That's awesome. That's huge.
So we kind of went off track there.
No, but it's important because this ties into what we're talking about, because so many people can get into that cycle of shame because they're playing the comparison game. They're either comparing themselves to someone else's success, or they're comparing themselves to this sort of fake idea of how long it's supposed to take, or what it's supposed to involve, or how easy it's supposed to be. And most of the time, our expectations about that, our expectations surrounding those things are dead wrong. Look, building, I read the other day that only, I think it was 7% of small businesses in the United States get to over $1 million a year in revenue. Only 7%. And then when you're talking about the numbers that get to like 10 million, it was like less than 1%. So guys, you are trying to build something absolutely extraordinary, because if you've been listening to what we're saying, it's not all about the money. We're saying, look, yes, build a great business that hits your income goals, but you're also trying to build a business that makes a difference in the world, that fulfills you, and that gives you some freedom at the same time. It's like, do you know how few people have that? How few people alive today have that? And then if you look at throughout history, it's like the quality of life that you're trying to build for yourself is like freaking unheard of. When you look at the way people have lived throughout history, there's no other word to describe it except heavenly. Like if you have a business that's firing on all cylinders, and you're making the money you want to make, and you have the freedom that you want to enjoy, and you're changing lives, and you're contributing to the world in an amazing way, that's something that the smallest fraction of people have been able to enjoy throughout history. So why would you think that building that would be a walk in the park? Why would you think that building that would be something that's so easy you just snap your fingers and it happens? This shit is tough. It is not easy to do this, but the rewards are like nothing that you can imagine. If I was thinking today, because I'm 39, I'm going to turn 40, and my wife said to me, well, Russ, hey, it's going to be really fun when it's your 40th birthday and you're looking back and comparing it to your 30th birthday. And I'll tell you, Jane, when I was 30, I could not even have imagined what my life looks like today. There's I literally, it would have been outside the realm of possibility, where maybe I might have thought about it in a daydream. But to think that this is where I live, and you are the guys that I'm working with, and all this amazing stuff is happening, I couldn't have even got my head around it. Honestly,
you didn't even know to want it.
Right. My imagination literally wasn't powerful enough to conceive of it at that point in time. So what we're trying to build is so extraordinary and so amazing that you've got to cut yourself some slack if it takes a little bit longer than 6 months to get where you want to go. Now, that being said, there are shortcuts. There are big, big, big shortcuts where you can look at someone who's achieving the kind of results that you want, and you can model what they're doing. Because if you just try to do this through a just pure trial and error, it's obviously going to take a hell of a lot longer than it would if you were kind of following in someone's footsteps. And so the first step to dealing with the shame is to change how you think about it. And that's sort of what we've been talking about. But the second step is to change your approach. Because the truth is that sometimes the pain you're feeling in your business, if things aren't working, you're feeling it because you know that things could be better, right? Not in an unreasonable way where like, why aren't I've been doing this for 2 weeks. Why aren't I a millionaire yet? But where look, I mean, you take an objective look at your business and you're going, hey, look, I'm not getting the clients I want. And my Facebook ads aren't working maybe, and my marketing isn't working, and I don't know how to enroll people, and I'm undercharging, and I tried to do a launch, and launch didn't work, and I've been trying to build this big audience, but I'm not making any money. You can take an objective scientific look at what's going on in your business, and you can be just real with yourself and say, hey, look, this isn't working. What am I going to do better? And don't wallow there, and don't be ashamed, and don't feel bad about it, but don't stay there. Do something about it. So one of the best things that you can do, guys, is to look at someone who's getting the kind of outcomes that you want, who's helping other people get the kind of outcomes that you want, and do what they tell you to do and follow a proven system, because that is one of the biggest shortcuts you can possibly have. And if you don't take advantage of that, it's just, why wouldn't you?
Exactly. You make your road a lot shorter. Like you get to that destination so much quicker if you have a proven strategy that works, right? Like that's the way to do it. That's it's going to always be your fastest, your fastest route.
Well, that's why I always tell people, we can make it simple, but nobody can make it easy. And it's really important that you guys understand that distinction. When I say we make it simple, it's like, look, I'll tell you step by step how to get new clients in the door. I'll tell you step by step how to raise your prices. I'll even hold your hand and walk you through it. But nobody can make it easy. It's never going to be easy. You're going to have moments of total fear and doubt and overwhelm. You're going to have moments of, oh my God, what do I do now? And the power of being in a good coaching program or good mentoring program is you'll have people there that can hold your hand and walk you through it, which is what we love to do. That's our joy in life. But those moments are still going to happen because that's the journey. And if you're willing to step forward with some courage and embrace that and dive in and take action despite your uncertainty, like Jane was talking about, you'll be shocked at how fast things can grow and how fast things can evolve. And maybe 5 years from now or 10 years from now, you look back at your life and you think, oh my God, things are so amazing now that I couldn't have even imagined how good it could possibly be. But when I was setting out on my journey, guys, I sought out the best people. Some of them were good guys. Some of them were good girls. Some of them were not so good. Some of them were kind of a mess. But the point is I looked for anybody I could who could show me a path to get to where I wanted to go. And I looked at what they were doing and I tried to follow what they were doing. And sometimes I made changes and did things my own way. And sometimes they told me what worked and sometimes they told me what didn't work. But either way, I was 10 times better off than I would have been just like groping around in the dark, stumbling around on my own. So if you guys are not taking advantage of that shortcut, you're really not giving yourself every advantage that you can. Like I said, doing this stuff is damn hard. And when you're in a situation where you've got to do something damn hard, you got to sow the seeds and you got to take advantage of every shortcut, every distinction, every piece of wisdom, every piece of guidance and support that you can possibly get. And guys, look, you know the deal. If that is what you want, we'd love to see if we can help you do that. So go to clientsondemand.com/talk and reach out and book a call with us, because that's what we do all day, every day. We say, look, we've accomplished all of these things already that you want to accomplish. We've helped countless clients accomplish all these things that you want to accomplish. Why don't you let us see if we can help you do some of those things too? And like I said, it is not going to be easy, but it's going to be a hell of a lot easier with our help than without it. I can promise you that.
Yes.
All right, superstars, that's going to do it for us today. JJ, thank you so much for all of your wisdom and insight. It's just amazing. Go to clientsondemand.com/talk to book a call to speak to us. And guys, look, if you're watching us on Facebook and you'd like to check this out on iTunes, you can go to iTunes and search for the Clients on Demand podcast. And on the other hand, if you're checking this out on iTunes and you want to find us on Facebook, just go to Facebook and search for Russ Ruffino Clients on Demand, and you'll find us there. And we'd love to hang out with you live and have you be a part of these broadcasts too. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us today. Everybody have a great week, and we'll catch you on the next show.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.